Hey everyone, this is Daniel,
And this is Jun,
and we are
Korean.
American. Hey June,
Hi, Daniel.
have you looked at our podcast stats recently?
Yes, I do. I almost check it every day.
Me too.
Frantically.
Did you notice how many listens our pilot has now?
Yeah, our pilot now officially has over 100 listens.
Boom!
Yay!
100.
Thank you to all of our listeners all around the world.
To be fair, we only have the Northern Hemisphere and Australia. We have not had any listens yet from Africa or South America. There is a good Korean community in
Brazil, right?
Brazil, Argentina, I believe.
That's what I heard.
Anyway, thank you to all our fans.
Thank you very much.
This is so much fun for us, and
Yeah.
we hope you're enjoying it.
And Daniel,
Yes,
you know
Jun.
that there's another interesting fun fact
What is that?
about this episode. It is officially our 10th episode.
Ooh, number 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am very proud that we've made it so far.
June, I think I read a stat. Something like 95% of podcasts don't make it past episode 7.
Really?
Yeah. We're already in the top 5%.
Wow.
I love it.
I'm already imagining this day when we're recording our 100th episode and looking
Wow.
back on this day.
Well, hopefully it keeps growing, but regardless, again, it's fun, but knowing that it's being listened to and hopefully making someone's life a little bit more fun or giving them some insights into life in Korea
Yeah.
makes it definitely more worthwhile.
Yeah. That's enough of the intro. Yeah.
In honor of this 10th episode, June, I thought we would do something a little bit more fun and lighthearted today.
Yeah. I always like fun and lighthearted
I feel like we've been tackling a lot of deep, rural, societal topics. Yeah.
Education is very deep.
All of them, it always feels like, this deep Confucian background
Yes.
or national trauma from the Korean War has caused this, right?
None of that's
None
going
of
to be
that
recorded today.
No, I wanted to just maybe talk about just some of the most surprising or maybe not generally known differences in everyday living in
Yes.
Korea versus America.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot.
You know, like that feeling that when you land on a different country,
Yeah.
and these are the smallest things, right, that you've never seen on like the internet or
Yeah.
or the media before, but
Yeah.
it's so significant.
Yeah, as soon as you land, you know
Yeah, yeah.
something's different.
These are the things that we are aiming to cover today.
Yeah, so let's do it.
Yeah,
Here are differences in everyday living
that no one talks about.
that no one talks about
Yes.
except for us now.
Yeah.
But not top 10. It's not ranked nor ordered.
Yes.
Let's kick it off, June, with number 1.
Number 1, trash and recycling.
Trash and recycling.
Yes.
So, June, maybe you could describe the system, first of all, of how trash and recycling is done in Korea.
So, in general, there are 3 big categories of trash. One is your recyclings, one is your food waste, and the other one is 일반 쓰레기, is like miscellaneous. Anything that you cannot recycle or not food waste. A very common way is to sort your plastics and your cans, and then we call it 비닐, as in vinyl, but it might be very confusing for American people because plastics in Korea, it means like very solid, rigid plastics, like your plastic bottle plastics. And vinyl refers to, those flimsy plastic bag kind of things. Yeah.
And even in hard plastics, right, there's like PET plastics and other plastics.
Yeah.
But that's what Koreans call plastics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then another big category is your papers. So it's paper, plastics, cans, and your vinyls.
Vinyls, yeah. Styrofoam.
Styrofoam, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't have it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's glass as well, right?
Sometimes they have a separate category for your light bulbs.
Light bulbs. I was also going to say batteries.
Batteries as well.
Yeah.
And then now like a huge different category is your food waste.
Yes.
In Korea they call it 음식 쓰레기, 음식물 쓰레기, or 음스 as short. So there are 3 different categories.
Yeah.
And so taking out trash is a huge hassle in Korea, in my opinion, compared to in the States, you just dump everything at once and then just throw it out.
Huge hassle.
Yeah.
June, also when you throw out the trash, both for 일반, general waste, and 음식, food waste, you have to buy your city mandated bags. And these bags come in different sizes. But even the biggest bags are kind of small, June. I'm used to having you just throw everything in there and then take
Yes.
it out at the end of the week.
Yeah.
But, and this will be a theme, I'm way more mindful of how much trash I generate now.
Yeah.
Because it's basically like these small grocery shopping size bags. You throw your trash out one grocery bag at a time.
Sometimes I think for food waste, the apartment complex decide to have just the official food waste bin where you don't like personally have to have your official bag. You just like dump it in
Oh,
that
really?
bin. Yeah. Which was the case for my past office still before I moved into here, the new one.
Yeah.
That's like, I think, immensely more convenient.
And I will say, food waste in Korea, my initial reaction was, oh, this is just like compost. But it's a little different. My understanding is Korean food waste generally goes to basically pig feed. And so you would only put things in there, not something that can compost, but that you would actively, kind of feed to pigs.
That is the, I guess, rationale.
Yeah.
But I bet a lot of people just ignore it.
Oh, really?
Like, for instance, like technically you can't put a peach pit
Yeah, exactly.
in food waste.
Yeah, but people still do.
But people still do.
I mean, I
right?
think pigs will eat anything, but
Yeah.
I was told also eggshells is a common one. It's actually the perfect composting material in the US.
Yeah.
But in Korea, you're not supposed to put it in food waste.
I also heard that you can't put like orange peels in food waste. This might not be true.
Yeah. What I'm more surprised is that you don't know, even as a Korean living here,
Yeah.
what exactly the rules are.
Yeah. When it comes to food waste, it's so complicated
Yeah.
that I bet 90% of Korean people don't know it exactly.
Is there not a website I can just go to? Like, what should I put in foodwasteinkorea.com?
But are you going to strictly abide to it?
If I looked it up once, I would try my best to.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There might be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely there might be.
I don't bother.
The other thing too, June, when you throw out your recycling. So first of all, again, just to describe it, your typical Coke bottle, there's a hard plastic component to it. And the
Yes.
wrapper is a soft plastic. So you actually are supposed to take off the soft plastic,
Yeah.
put that in one, and, throw out the bottle in the other. But not only that, you're supposed to wash the bottle out.
Yes.
Which, a lot of food that comes, delivery food or whatever, it's quite greasy.
Yeah.
It's like a big deal cleaning these things to get them in a state such that they can be recycled.
So technically, yes, you have to take off the plastic wrapper on your bottle and then you have to rinse the inside, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I am guilty for this. I don't do it religiously.
Okay.
Sometimes I do it for fun.
Yeah.
Because they have like the little like dotted line on the label.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that
yeah.
can
You
take
rip it off. Yeah.
Sometimes I like doing it.
Oh, you're saying even the plastic, you don't even rip off the wrapper all the time?
I don't.
Oh, June.
Do you?
Yes, I'm pretty good about that. I thought you were saying you don't always
Proudly.
wash the inside well.
Proudly Korean. You know which country that is even more strict about recycling?
Where?
Is Japan.
Oh, I had no idea.
So yeah, when I visited Japan one time and I saw like this recycling area, I saw this like very old Japanese lady very carefully disassembling an umbrella.
That's great.
Yeah, state of the art.
Yeah.
Anyways,
June, there's another huge thing related to trash and recycling.
oh, what is it?
Do you know that there's no public trash cans in Korea?
Yes. I mean, I don't notice it anymore
Yeah.
because it's such a norm.
Yeah.
But I recognize the opposite when I go to the States.
Yeah.
Because there's like unbearable
Yeah.
odor coming from everywhere in the streets, especially like in New York.
Yeah.
Right? That's when I know when I'm in the States.
Yeah.
And that's when I realize we don't have trash cans in Korea.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also am at the point now where I don't even think twice. I used to be really annoyed. I was carrying something I want to throw away.
Yeah.
Where's the trash can? Oh my God, I have to carry it with me. But now I don't notice it. But June, when people visit, they're always complaining. And I was like, oh yeah, now I remember my first, month here.
Yeah.
I was constantly aware, complaining, thinking how it was so annoying and awful that there are no public trash cans. It's so inconvenient. The flip side again, and I mentioned this earlier, I'm so much more mindful of the waste I produce. And it's just, it doesn't even bother me anymore. You carry it, you put it in the bag, and then you throw it out at home, right? It's not a big deal. And also, walking around Seoul, it's really clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, the streets are very clean. I think a lot of people comment on that as well when they come. Like, oh my gosh, this city has so many people, but it's really clean.
So pro tip for people who are visiting Korea, if you want to look for public trash cans, sometimes there might be one in the subway station.
Really?
Yeah. But again, in subway station, magically, you have to recycle. There's a can bin.
Yeah.
There's a plastic bin, and
Yeah.
there's your general waste bin.
June, I think I know every public trash can within like a 1 mile radius of us. I know where they all are.
Daniel, we should make an app. Public trash can map.
Man. Do you think that would be successful in Korea is the question? Or
No,
would it be strictly used by foreigners?
I think it became such a norm in Korea that people don't really... They know that they can't trash it anywhere.
I agree.
anyways.
I don't think it would be used. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
All right, June. Number 2.
Number 2, restaurants, which is always fun to talk about.
Yes, eating
Yes.
out and restaurant culture in general.
Yes.
There are a few big differences.
Yeah. The biggest difference that one might encounter when they first visit Korea is the way that you pay.
Yeah.
So in the States, if you want to pay, you're paying at your table.
Yeah.
So the waitress or waiter comes to your table and they collect your cash or credit card or whatever, and then you're done at your table. 99% in Korean restaurants, you don't do that. You pay it up front at some POS. Do you call it POS in the States?
We don't know. I know what it is, but a point of sale, but we don't call it that.
포스기.
Posugi?
포스기 is what we say in
What's
Korean.
posugi stand
POS, 포스, and then
Is that-
기 as in like 기계.
Gige for
Yeah.
machine. Oh, so
Posugi.
posa machine.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We just
So-
call it cashier. Yeah.
The reason why I said 99% of restaurants do that is because there are 1% of restaurants that are very pretentious, want to be very American.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
I've seen something like that.
Again, to be clear for the listeners,
Yeah.
when you're done eating, you don't make the funny like envelope shape to the waiter and say check please.
Oh, you don't?
You just get up and go and pay.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, June, they will often leave a little like receipt looking thing at your table.
Oh,
and so you
that's
have
a
to
good
bring
point.
that up with you.
Yes, yes.
So they know, what you're paying for.
Yeah, yeah. So people from the States might mistakenly think that that's your bill, which it is, but it doesn't mean that you're gonna pay at your table.
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
to bring that thing with you to the 포스기.
Cashier. But yeah, the other thing here is June.
Yes.
Do you know what tip is? You know what tip is.
I know what tip is, which is the number one most annoying thing that you have to encounter in the States.
Yeah, I would agree. It's one of the best things about being in Korea. Yeah, there's no tipping.
There's no tipping.
So the price you see on your menu, it is all in included tax tip. There's no extra charges.
Yeah.
What you see is what you pay.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference.
It's a huge difference. So sometimes if you want to tip someone with cash maybe in Korea, some might receive it as offensive. So you have to be very careful if you tip.
Yeah.
If you don't want to offend them, tip them a lot.
Tip a lot, right? Yeah.
Then they'll just say thank you.
Yeah, June, there's other differences too I want to call out. Have you noticed when you go to a restaurant in Korea, they're almost always out of at least one item?
So yeah, you mentioned this a couple of times. And I think now that you say it, it is true. But I didn't know that was a Korean thing.
It's certainly not an American thing. Yeah, I was almost offended, right? Like, I came to this place. I might want to eat this thing. How can you be out? Or if you're out, just take it off the menu, right?
So you never went to a restaurant and you order something and the waiter goes like, "Oh, sorry, we're out of octopuses."
I mean, they might.
Yeah.
It's not out of the possibility, but it's not common at all.
Interesting.
In Korea, I honestly think every restaurant at any moment is out of at least one thing. June, it's a violation of my rights as a customer.
Yeah.
I came here to eat.
But sometimes even me,
Yeah.
I get annoyed.
Yeah.
When I go to restaurants and I order something and
Yeah.
they're like, "We're out of that," and then I pick something else and
Yeah.
sorry, we're out of that too.
That happens so much.
Yeah.
And then you just ask, well, what do you have?
Yes.
And on this menu of 10, they point to 2 things.
Yeah.
That's so common.
Anyways.
All right, June, there's still a lot more things.
Yeah. Another thing that you might realize if you go to a Korean restaurant, you might wonder, where are my utensils?
Exactly. They're
'Cause-
not there in front of you.
Most of the time, it's not set up for you like in the restaurants in the States. And Daniel, now that you lived in Korea for enough, where do you find your utensils?
Under the table.
Under the table.
There's like this utensil drawer, and it carries the utensils. And again, in Korea, utensils are spoon and chopsticks. But actually, almost everywhere now, you can ask for fork and knife as well. Oh, there's another thing to mention too, which is kitchen scissors.
Kitchen scissors.
In Korea, every Korean kitchen restaurant, they have kitchen scissors.
Yeah.
They cut everything with them.
Yeah.
This is a very Korean thing, June. I don't know if you know.
That I've heard that.
Yeah, using scissors in the kitchen is kind of weird if you're not Korean.
Yeah.
They cut everything with scissors though.
There's something very similar like that too. That sometimes they would have toilet paper on the table.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The napkins here are very, very thin and sheer. And sometimes they straight up do use toilet paper. Yeah.
I heard that American people or Western people sometimes think that's kind of gross that you have toilet paper on the table.
Yeah,
But I think yeah, Korean people use it quite universally.
I would say even as a Korean American Jun, I use toilet paper for my napkins all the time.
Yeah.
We didn't leave it on the dining table.
Oh, you didn't.
We didn't.
Interesting. Quickly going back to the utensil drawers, what else can you find in the utensil drawer?
Napkins,
Napkins.
either wet or dry versions.
Yeah.
And of course, bottle openers.
Bottle opener.
Yeah, for
Yes.
your inevitable bottle of beer.
Yeah. I don't know when this happened, like the drawer thing. I think
Yeah.
it happened like, I want to say 20 years ago. Back then it was like a novelty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, some restaurants have like this quirky thing, right?
Yeah.
Now it became such a common thing. Yeah.
It's also worth mentioning, even though these have reached the US by now, a lot of tables will have a button that you push to get the waiter's attention. Kind of like the the button on an airplane if you want to get a flight attendant to come visit you. Very similar.
Yes.
So you don't kind of yell and shout. If you see a button, you can press it.
Yeah.
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 All right, there's two more things I want to hit up on restaurants and dining culture.
Yes.
Jun, this is an awesome thing. I love it. There's a concept of self-bar. Is that how's my pronunciation?
셀프바.
Self-bar.
Or-
Self-bar.
셀프 서비스.
Self-service bar. And it's where they might stock things like banchan, water, anything basically that they want you to get for yourself. It's called the self-bar.
Yes.
And so a lot of times I'm like, oh, could I get more water, please? And at first I didn't know what they were saying. Oh, self. And now I know they're saying, just get it yourself, dude.
Yes. So like now like the word self like 셀프
Yeah.
is like used as short for 셀프 서비스.
Okay.
So let's say you're in a restaurant and you wave your hand to the waiter and say like, can we get some water? Sometimes they would say like 물은 셀프예요.
Oh, yeah.
Like directly translated, water is self.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
yeah.
means that it's self. You have to get yourself. Yeah.
And then, Jun, what else do you need to do when you eat commonly? What's another thing you need to do at restaurants?
Go to the bathroom.
Yes. Excuse me, where's the bathroom?
It is out. You go outside of the restaurant and you make a left and you'll see a little gate. You go into the building and like 2 stories up, you'll see the bathroom.
Yeah.
And please take this key with you.
Yeah.
Or remember this passcode. This is a very common thing. It relates to, I guess, commercial building typology in Korea, where a lot of the times the restaurants won't have its exclusive bathroom inside the restaurant.
Yeah, yeah.
The bathroom is commonly shared with the other restaurants or cafes that are in the building. Yeah.
Yeah. So to use the bathroom, you generally will have to leave the restaurant and then come back later. So.
Yeah. There's one more thing that you mentioned, self-service, right?
Yeah.
Which comes to mind. It's not in our list, but I realize it's become, I guess, a recent custom in cafe culture in Korea that you take your empty cups and plates and utensils to the counter.
Oh, I was going to ask about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's called, in the US, we call it busing.
Yeah.
Like, do I need to bus my stuff? I'll be honest, I still don't know half the time whether I do or not.
I am confused about this too,
Okay,
because I think
yeah.
it's a
It's
very
changing, right?
recent culture.
Yeah.
But so I usually just do it 100%.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay. And let them stop you.
Yeah,
Say,
yeah.
Oh, we'll take care of that.
Yeah, yeah,
okay, okay. Oh, another thing. I am pretty meticulous now about cleaning up after myself. If there's food or whatever, I will wipe the table clean before I leave.
Oh, that's very nice of you.
I don't know. It feels like there must be a reason why I picked this up. I think I
Yeah.
see other people doing it.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's like considered as a rule
Yeah.
or custom.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good to do
commonly
thing.
done,
Yeah,
right?
commonly
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. All right. Moving on.
Moving on.
Public transportation.
Yes, it's a big one.
Do you know how good you have it, or we have it here in Korea?
Yes, I do, especially if I go to, let's say, New York.
I think Newark's on the better end too, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
In the U.S.
I used to take public transportation in Boston, which is like actually pretty decent too.
Okay.
So they say Seoul has one of the best public transportation systems in the world, which is like on par with places like Tokyo or Singapore.
The biggest surprise for me, again, as an American, public transportation here is fast, cheap, and reliable. It's just ubiquitous. Before, I was kind of intimidated by the buses, but after you taught me how to use the buses, I almost prefer the buses now. They're air conditioned. You always get a seat almost. They have chargers and Wi-Fi. I mean, they're amazing. And because of the way that some of the highways have bus lanes, etc., buses can be faster than subway as well.
Interesting. So, and the buses are all color coded. The common ones are the green ones and the blue ones and the red ones.
Yes, those are the three I know.
I think the green ones are more local. It goes around in your area. And then the blue ones are more like inter-region. And then the red ones are like, they're inter-region, but they go much further. Yeah, they call it 광역 bus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as a person living in Pundang, the suburbs of Korea, the red buses are a blessing.
Oh, I guess we should also mention, I think taxis in Korea, compared to the US, they're quite cheap and affordable too. Yeah, I mean, I know Koreans are up in arms because the price is going up here.
Yeah.
But again, still relative to the US, they're quite affordable.
Oh yeah, one thing I also want to mention now that you mentioned taxis is that especially in Seoul, it's not common that you hail a taxi on the street.
And this has changed very rapidly. I think even, I would say, 3 years ago,
Yeah.
it was pretty 50-50. You could reliably get hail a cab from
Yes.
from the side of the street.
Yeah.
Now it's so hard to, I don't even know if you
to
can.
get it.
Yeah.
Most of the taxis you see on the street would have a sign called 예약, which is in Korean, but it means that it's already reserved.
Got it.
Because most people get their taxis from this app, Kakao Taxi, which is basically the Uber in Korea.
Let's keep going. This next one's a big one. I wanted to compare some differences with apartments and just apartment life and how most people live here in Korea. I don't know, we don't have the facts, but a very high percentage live in what are called apartments or office tels, right? Office tels are, how would you translate that?
Yeah, it's mixed use. You can either use it as commercial or residential. And I think the word office tels comes from the two words office and hotel.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was kind of thinking what the tel comes from, and I think it comes from hotels. And I think it's kind of weird. Why is it called hotels?
How would you distinguish between office tels and apartments?
Most of the time, office tels are single buildings and apartments are in complexes. So you would see a lot of buildings as complexes for apartments, and office tels are single buildings. And a lot of the times, office tels are partially furnished, which means that they would have installed refrigerators or washers, or sometimes they would have microwaves. Sometimes they would even have beds.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And most of the times, office tels are smaller. They start from the studio apartments, where in Korea they call it one-room.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the main difference then you're saying is apartments are in complexes with many buildings.
Yeah.
And office tels are typically standalone. Got it.
And I think a lot of the time, apartments, the tenants own their apartment, whereas in office tels, they might own it, but most of the times they're renting.
Understood. Got it. And yeah, I just want to describe a bit the scale of these apartment complexes, because as far as I know, there's nothing like it in the US.
Yeah. I think one of the bigger apartment complexes, famous one is the Helio City.
Yeah.
In Seoul.
Yeah.
I think they have up to like 10,000 units, and they have 84 buildings.
Yeah. 84?
Yeah, I just Googled it. Yeah.
So then it's, maybe like 40,000 people if your average unit has 4 people living.
But I heard that this is not the biggest complex in Korea.
Yeah. They are really like mini cities.
If you see one of these complexes from the street, sometimes it looks kind of gross.
Yeah.
Grossly dense and homogeneous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because all of the buildings look the same.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. In Korean slang, we call it 닭장, as in like chicken cage.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, the scale of these apartment complexes or communities is next level. All right, so most people live in either this office tel or apartment complex. And so I don't want to talk about the rental system.
Yeah.
I think that's its own big thing.
Yes.
But I did want to mention a couple differences you might see in your apartments. Number one, heating is done through the Korean traditional system, right? Which is underfloor heating, which actually is very efficient. But what that leads to, I think, is there's no carpet in Korea. And I credit that to the heating system. Do you think that the ondol system leads to not having carpeting anywhere in Korea? Or do you think it's strictly a cleanliness thing? They think carpet is more dirty and they prefer hardwood for cleaning and sanitary reasons.
I think it's more of the latter.
Okay.
Because ondol system might definitely work with carpets too.
Have you stood on your rug when there's ondol on?
Oh, it's not that it's not that efficient.
It doesn't dissipate it as well. Yeah,
That's
and it's
true.
you can definitely tell it's not working as well.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more of the former then.
I don't know. Yeah.
I think it's definitely both.
Both, yeah.
Korean people definitely do think carpets are unhygienic.
They are unhygienic. I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, I've yet to see a single apartment in Korea that has carpeting.
Hmm.
I think in the US, people do prefer hardwood, but at least bedrooms typically will have maybe carpeting.
Mm.
And so I really miss carpet. I
Mhm.
love lying down anywhere. It's comfortable. It's soft.
Yeah.
It's warm.
Fun fact, I think recently there was a hype amongst young people to install carpets in their office style apartment.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. It is
But
comfortable.
the way that they do it is there was a thing called tiled carpets.
Oh, so you can easily remove it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It was
Um,
kind of a thing.
Okay. Other big differences.
Mhm.
The bathrooms here, June, I think they're called wet bathrooms.
Wet bathrooms, yeah.
So they're designed to basically be able to hose the whole thing down to clean.
Yes.
And, I think there's like a central drain where everything is supposed to drain out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, these are not a thing in the US.
Mm.
And so also because of that, the floor is typically wet in Korean bathrooms.
Mhm.
And so there's these, I don't know what you call them, bathroom slippers.
Slippers, yeah.
That you use when you use the restroom.
Mhm.
In Korea, I still don't use them even when the floor is wet.
Yeah.
I just get annoyed. It's like, oh, my socks, like how can I even walk on this?
Yeah.
So for me, I really don't like wet bathrooms.
Mm.
And, I wanted to know what your thoughts are on that.
I think Korean people might think that wet bathrooms are cleaner because it's easier to clean. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they are cleaner.
Yeah, I think
There's not dust in like the random corners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say that that's one of the big reasons behind wet bathrooms.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is annoying when you have socks on.
Yeah.
And sometimes even the slippers are
Are wet, exactly. Sorry, a lot of the times it feels like the slippers are wet.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is TMI, but when you're using the toilet, like you don't want your pants to get wet from the ground too, right? It's just kind of annoying for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you'll notice that I think because of the wet bathrooms,
Mm-hmm.
even like the sockets, the electrical sockets in Korean bathrooms,
Mm-hmm.
they have this covering over it so that it's to protect it from getting wet.
Mm-hmm.
The toilet paper roller has like this little metal cover over it.
Wait, you
to
don't
prevent
have
it
that
from
in the
getting wet.
States?
No, it's just exposed.
Wow. My mind is blown.
You wouldn't need it if the toilet paper is not at risk of getting soaked.
I've had my fair share of living in the States, but I don't think I've ever realized
Notice that.
Wow. Interesting.
The other big difference is, and this is true for electrical switches everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
but in bathrooms it's particularly obvious to me. It's weird that they are outside the bathroom, not inside. I think for the same reason, they want to
Wow.
minimize the amount of basically electricity points in the bathroom because again, it's designed for the whole thing to just be hosed down.
That makes sense.
But yeah, this is again, you probably find it very natural. For me, it was really weird. Like, why are the fan switch? Why is the electrical switch, the light switch? Why is it outside the bathroom?
That is such an interesting observation, which is weird if you think about it.
It is weird.
Because the
You want it on the
switches
inside.
rooms are in the inside. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Anyway,
I like these
really
small
annoying.
facts.
Really annoying when you're not used to it, especially because you get in, you close the door, it's dark,
Mhm.
and then you're like fumbling trying to turn on the light.
Mhm.
But then you realize it's outside the bathroom, so you have to turn it on from the outside.
Yeah.
And if you have kids who like to play around, they'll turn the switch off on you while you're like, mid-use. Really annoying. Okay, there's a couple more here, June.
Yes.
Do you realize that almost all Korean people, the towels they use, even after showering,
Yeah.
they are what in America we would call hand towels. So only used for washing your hands. Or
Yes.
sorry, drying your hands.
Mm-hmm.
But they use these, fairly small, I would say, towels to dry off your whole body in Korea.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, that's true. You only see these big towels in hotels
Yeah.
in Korea.
We found some in Costco. We bought our kind of big American towels in Costco.
Why do you think that is?
Well, here's my theory.
Mhm.
I think, and someone told me this too. And it's related to the fact that Koreans typically never had dryers.
Oh.
And so, Koreans usually dry things still by sun. They hang dry. And these big towels, I've tried to hang dry them. It takes forever.
Oh, that's true.
And so without a dryer, it's like, well, these smaller towels dry much quicker.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, that was always my guess.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
All right.
I think for a long time, dryers weren't a common, what do you call it? Home
Appliance?
appliance
Yeah.
in Korea. It only within, I think, the past 5 or 10 years, dryers became a quite common thing in Korea. And I heard it's because of the new technology that came.
Korea, Jun, is often cited as the #1 most innovative country in the world.
Yeah.
What is the dryer innovation?
because of the common conception of Korean people when it comes to dryers, especially electric dryers, is that they suck up too much energy and you end up paying too much energy, like electricity bills, right? So a lot of the times Korean people, they knew what a dryer was, but they never dared to install one in their households.
So dryers here are not gas powered?
They're usually not.
Okay.
Most of the time they're electric.
Yeah.
But recently, I think these home appliances companies, they came up with a new dryer technology that's called, I think it's called the condenser type, which uses the same principle that an air conditioner would use. It condenses out the water.
Makes sense.
So
yeah.
it doesn't heat up or use much electricity as a normal electric dryer would.
Got it. I think it's also related to just, the lack of space in Korea in general. So at the very least, the washer dryer units will be stacked. But I've also seen actually single appliances that function as both the washer and the dryer. Have you seen these?
Yeah, they were around,
Yeah.
but those are purely electric ones.
Oh, okay.
Fun fact, I want to say 2 weeks ago, I saw on the news that Samsung and LG, they finally came up with like a single dryer and washer together.
In one.
That uses the condenser
Oh,
technology.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be so convenient, Jun.
Yeah.
You don't have to move, shuttle your laundry from the washer to the dryer. That's amazing.
This was the biggest mystery for me.
Yeah.
Because like I always thought, why wouldn't they make it so that
It's one unit.
It's just one unit? Because it's doing the same thing. There's like this.
It turns. You're right.
rotating
It
thing.
turns.
Why can't you just heat it?
I never thought about
Yeah.
that.
But apparently there was some technical challenges, which
Well,
which they overcame very recently.
I cannot wait to have that. That is amazing. It's
Yeah.
going to save so much time.
Yeah.
All right, Jun, we're going long. I just want to have some maybe rapid fire observations as well.
Yes.
Dishwashers, non-existent.
Not a thing.
Garbage disposals, I heard they're illegal.
Wait, but dishwashers are becoming a thing these days.
Oh yeah, they're kind of on the countertop units. They're a
Yeah.
little smaller though.
Yeah.
They're very small actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I see they're becoming quite popular.
Yes.
Garbage disposals, are these
Yeah.
actually illegal in Korea?
That's what I heard.
I heard that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss my garbage disposal.
Yeah, this is one of the shocking things that I realized when I went to the States. You just grind all of your food waste under the sink.
It's so convenient, Jun.
It is very convenient. Once you use it, you can't go back.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really miss my garbage disposal.
I-
Why do you think it's illegal?
Okay, I'm not 100% sure if it's illegal because I saw on the internet that sometimes they sell it that you can just separately install.
Oh, I did hear about this. I heard it was shady.
Oh, if that's the case, I want to say that it's because of it pollutes the water more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's the common conception that Korean people have about these things.
Got it.
Yeah.
But that water's going to get filtered, just like toilet water.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, yeah, it's scientifically maybe the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
don't
Anyway,
know.
maybe they just want to collect more of that food so that they can, feed pigs more cheaply.
Maybe.
So a good reason, to be honest.
Poor pigs.
They're going to be starved. All right, let's see. Okay, there's one more. Jun, do you know that it's very surprising that when you move into, and again, I've never lived in an office but when you move into an apartment in Korea, it is bare bones. There is nothing there. There's no refrigerator. There's no washer dryer. There's literally nothing. We were shocked.
Do you have some things when you move into a new house in the States?
I think it's pretty common that at least the fridge
Yeah.
and maybe the washer dryer are there.
Interesting.
Or at least the old tenants or the owner will ask you, hey, do you have your own or should we keep it here? In Korea, there is nothing. They're ruthless.
Oh.
And then the other thing is, I didn't realize the concept of built-ins in Korea is a thing.
Yeah.
So basically, built-ins in Korea is what you call built-in storage. And I think in general, this is seen as a luxury in Korea. And again, what I was told that Koreans prefer it this way so that, they can bring in and organize their room or whatever, however they would like. As an American, this was all very surprising. In the US, every room basically has like some sort of closet or storage built in. But it's not as common in Korea.
I'm quickly thinking about the reasons why. I mentioned briefly in office stall cultures, most of the time office stalls are gonna be furnished partially, at least maybe the refrigerator,
Okay.
maybe air conditioning, but it's not a thing for apartments. I don't know why. The reason for closets maybe I think it's because traditionally I don't think it was common to hang your clothes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think there's like in Korean culture, 장롱. It was a very important part of furniture.
What does that mean?
It's a closet furniture, but it's not built in.
So it's furniture for storing your clothes.
Yeah, and it's one of the most expensive and important furnitures of your household.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, so people are bringing them with them.
Yeah, so normally when a couple gets married and they furnish their houses, right? I think one part of either the bride or groom is supposed to furnish everything, and it's called 혼수.
Okay.
It's the newlywed furniture, and the 장롱, the closet or the drawer unit, is one of the most important and expensive ones.
Got it.
And I think that's one of the reasons that Korean apartments don't have built-in closets that
That's
much.
so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Do you see in like very like classic old school K-dramas, you see in the background in like the bedroom, you see like the grandma's room,
Yeah.
and you would see these 자개 농s, which are usually black background and has like silver.
Oh, yeah. The mother of
decorations.
pearl on the front. I
Yes,
know what
yes.
you're talking about.
Those
Okay.
are your classic 장롱s.
Oh, yeah. Those are called wardrobes. I mean, they're very similar to Western wardrobes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got
And
it.
like those fancy units are one of the most important pieces in your bedroom.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
June, number 4, cash.
Cashless society. It's
Yeah.
becoming very cashless these days. I personally haven't been carrying around cash for a good 5 years now.
That's crazy.
And I've never encountered, I don't want to say never, but maybe like once or twice when I needed cash.
Yeah.
Yeah. All credit card based.
June, I had a friend. His initials are FC. Shout out. His parents are coming to Korea for the first time in a while. I think 20, 30 years. And they insisted on bringing an absurd amount of cash because they're going to be here for a while. And they are insisting that, no, Korea, you have to carry cash. Everything's done by cash. You can haggle. They prefer it, etc. Like, no, that is the opposite of true. Some places really, they don't even take cash. They don't even accept it.
Yeah. In fact, I think very recently now some buses, they started not accepting cash
Yeah,
anymore.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to say that I think is very different from the US is what's called wire transfer in Korea. Very common.
Very
I
common.
mean, you just go to lunch together, you're splitting a bill, you wire transfer your amount to someone else.
Yeah.
Almost like in the US, it'd be Venmo or PayPal. But in Korea, it's a bank-to-bank wire transfer.
Yeah.
Because I think it's very, I don't know, for whatever reason, that's the norm here. And to be fair, banks in the US are adopting some of these new things. But a typical wire transfer, it's expensive, it's slow. Like, I think it would cost $35 to do in the US unless you're within the same bank.
Interesting.
And so you only do it for really big amounts that otherwise it's impossible to move, right? But in Korea, it's so common. Yeah. So I just want to call that out.
Yeah.
June, when we first moved here like 2 years ago, it was during COVID. So we were quarantining, and basically our Airbnb host, they wanted us to, wire transfer them money. And we were so confused. And it was such a hassle because we had to do it from an American bank. I mean, from a Korean bank, now I know it's so trivial and common, but it gave us so much stress because they were insisting we wire transfer them the money. And we didn't have a Korean bank account. Anyway, it was really difficult.
Oh yeah. Well, one fun fact in Korea, let's say you want to get street food, right? Like a 붕어빵 stall. What do they have right next to them? Their bank account
info. You can wire transfer $1.
Because most people, most of the times, they won't have the credit card machine thing.
Yeah.
And most of the time people won't have cash on them.
Yeah.
So they just wire transfer.
Oh, June, speaking of which, this, again, very quick note. A lot of these food stands for like bungeoppang, or what's the other one I like?
오뎅, 떡볶이.
Hotteok, or tteokbokki stands. There's also no cashier in a sense. You just pay the money and take your change. It's all honor system. So they'll just have like a bin there, and if you're paying $1.50, you put a 5, you take $3.50 back, and that's it. They don't even look and check.
Yeah.
It's like the tip jar.
Yes.
This would never work in the US. Someone would just take it, or you wouldn't pay, or you'd take too much, whatever. Like, yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention during the restaurant section, the reason why I think the Korean payment method of just walking out when you're done and paying on your way out would never work. There's this concept or a thing in the US called dine and ditch.
Oh, I see.
So you eat, and without paying, you just run away.
Yeah.
Right? And restaurants would just lose too much money from people doing this. And I will have to say, I think I remember once I did leave a restaurant without paying, because I wasn't used to paying on my way out. I was like, oh, I just leave when I pay, right? I don't pay when I leave. Anyway, I wasn't used to it. So I think that's the reason why it would not work in the US.
Did you end up just not paying?
No, they ran after me. They were like, "Sonnim, like you didn't pay." I was like, "Oh shoot, I'm so sorry. I wasn't trying to like dine and ditch."
Interesting. Yeah. Now, moving on to again a big category, which is driving.
Driving.
I think I will leave a lot up to you because I don't drive here in Korea, nor did I did in the States.
Yeah. Okay. Let me go fast here. Driving is one of those things I was very afraid of before coming here. I heard and have experienced, riding in taxis. Korean drivers are crazy. They don't obey the laws. And to be fair, I think, June, a lot of this is true. So our friend AM is here in Korea right now. He told me the other day, there is no right of way to pedestrians in Korea. So basically, if you're walking around, be very careful. On a side note too, jaywalking is not a thing, I think, because of this.
Yeah.
If you jaywalk, walk when you're not supposed to, you're bound to just get hit.
Even in crosswalks where they don't have the signal, where you're supposed to just cross on yourself.
Yeah.
I think in the States it's very common that the pedestrian is always first.
Yes.
So the car would always you have a belief that the car is always going to stop for you.
Yeah.
In Korea, it's not the case.
No, you have to be careful.
So car is always first.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Actually driving. So I think some of the biggest, mechanical differences are in the US at an intersection, you can turn left on green if it's clear. In Korea, you cannot. You have to wait for the green arrow by default. There are certain intersections where they'll have a sign that says, oh, you can turn left on green without a green arrow. But that has to be explicit. Yeah.
It's called 비보호
yeah.
좌회전, which means unprotected left turn. Yes.
Basically, you're on your own here. The other mechanical difference is you can't turn right into a crosswalk that is green, even if there's no one there. It's illegal. It was very frustrating for me waiting to do a right turn at an intersection. There's not a single person in sight. But cars are just waiting, chilling, just like not crossing. And, I'm like getting ready to honk my horn or whatever. But I actually found that, that's the law. You're not allowed to turn right. Other things, let's see. A really nice thing is, and it's all synced to the navigation systems here too, the exits have colors.
Yeah.
So they'll, follow the pink line on the street or the blue paint or the green paint. And this is super convenient. Yeah, because the road system, again, Seoul is a very old city. The streets were built kind of on top, and they were not designed for cars per se. And so navigating them can be pretty tricky. In Korea, there's a lot of shared roads where it's a single lane and traffic flows both ways. So it's something you just have to be very mindful of and careful of. And I learned recently too who basically needs to yield right of way. I think it's the person that has a more difficult time. So the person coming downhill has right of way, or again, if it's uphill, but there's people behind you, or there's no place to pull over or back up. It's kind of use some common sense here. But yeah, it can be tricky, right?
I always thought it's the more expensive car.
That's probably right. Yeah, maybe Korea's trying to change the perception to be more egalitarian. Let's see. Okay, gas. Gas also can be very confusing here because it's very common for cars to run on diesel here. It's very, very common.
Yes.
And so even the type of gas is one thing. Two, a lot of gas stations are full service. So you don't pump it yourself. You tell them what you want. And again, for me, this can be intimidating because my Korean's not very good. But yeah, the term for gas versus diesel, you have to know that. And to be fair, the nozzle shouldn't fit incorrectly. So it's really hard to maybe do the wrong thing. But again, it's just confusing. Yeah, diesel is ubiquitous in the US, but every consumer like car, no one runs on diesel typically.
Interesting.
The other thing, basically, you have to pay ahead of time. So they'll pre-charge a large amount, I think typically $150 worth of gas. You fill up your gas, let's say you fill up $100, and then they'll refund the excess. I think this is to prevent maybe people trying to use a fake credit card or stealing gas when they don't have money. But again, that's just something that I was not used to. You put in your card, you keep it there, they charge something up front, and then they refund it at the end.
I think this is a very important tip because even for me, a non-driver, I think I can see people visiting Korea and being very confused about the system.
Oh, it's very confusing.
What about parking?
Yeah, parking. Okay, so in Korea, everyone, I'd say 95% of the time, does rear-in parking. So they don't pull into the spot, they back into the spot.
Yes.
And this was one of my very first like aha moments. I was doing some research. Apparently, it's actually easier to maneuver the car when you're backing into a spot rather than pulling in. Two, when you're backing into a spot, the trunk is harder to access. But in general, I think Koreans don't typically buy so much that they need to load up the trunk with like 20 things, right? I guess the car spots are very narrow. I don't think they were designed for today's modern large cars.
Yeah.
So the parking spots are super narrow. You almost have to also fold in your mirrors when you park. Otherwise, they won't be there, maybe, potentially, when you come back.
And this is related to the fact that in a lot of Korean cars, you would see these odd little blue blocks.
Yes, I want to talk about those. These styrofoam blocks on the side of the car.
문콕 방지.
That's what they're called?
Yeah.
What does that translate to?
문 means door.
Yeah.
콕 is like the sound
that you close.
when you dent someone else.
Oh, 방지 is...
방지 is preventing.
Oh, preventing. Okay, yeah. So without these things, I would be nicking so many cars next to me because these spots are so narrow.
Yeah.
I already have to like suck in and contort my body in weird ways to get out of the car. But if it weren't for that blue foam thing, which when I first saw them in Korea, I thought these look so cheesy.
They are
ugly.
Yeah.
It looks so bad. Why do they do it? Now, I couldn't imagine parking in Korea without one. Yeah. The equivalent in the US would be, I think, like a bumper protector in places where there's a lot of parallel parking. These are very helpful, too, to prevent you from damaging another car or someone else damaging you. So it's the equivalent of that.
Yes.
But it's attached to every door, kind of near the end, so that when you open it, you're not scraping or nicking the car next to you.
The parking direction that you mentioned, one might find that at certain areas, you can a lot of the cars are parked. It's like the pull-in way.
Yeah.
And those are the spots where usually it's adjacent to a pedestrian way.
Oh.
Or either it has a garden.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they don't want to have the fume coming in directly into the garden.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so conscientious.
Yeah.
I don't know how deep we want to go on this, but I think Koreans, in that sense, they want to optimize for having an easier and safer departure. And they'd rather maybe take a little bit more time in parking. Whereas, again, my American mentality is I just want to get there and get in as soon as possible. And maybe I'll deal with backing out and leaving later.
Oh, this is very deep. It's very philosophical.
Yeah, I think it is. And it takes some getting used to. And if I didn't have a backup camera, it would be much, much harder. Yeah, but it's not too bad with the backup camera. Actually, I find it much easier now. When I pull in, actually, sometimes I need to do a lot of like 5-point parking.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right, next up. Oh, God, there's so much. Sorry, when you're driving too. Signaling. So in Korea, I've realized you don't signal to tell others around you, oh, I intend to change lanes. You do it as you're changing lanes to alert them, oh, I'm moving, like get out of my way.
Yeah.
And so if you're, trying to merge or change lanes and you're signaling, in fact, the other driver will accelerate to not give you space to come in.
Interesting.
But you just got to do it and then they'll yield. But it's completely, foreign to me. I'm used to signaling, waiting for a little bit of a space and then going. But in Korea, people they literally signal as they're turning.
There's a very funny concept we're saying in Korea about this. So the city of Busan, they're known for their very, I guess, wild way of driving, right? Even in Korea, which is already pretty wild compared to the States. And so Seoul people, usually they make fun of Busan people that they turn on their signals to celebrate their lane change. 'Cause they don't even turn on their signals before or while they're doing it. They do it after they change their lane.
So the other thing is they use the hazard lights pretty regularly for two reasons. One is if you're coming to a complete stop and any sort of sudden stop, you turn on your hazard lights to warn the cars behind you, and it starts a whole train. So you see the person in front of you do it, then the person behind you does it. And so I think that's actually incredibly valuable. Two, you use it to kind of say thank you. So if someone lets you in or if you change lanes kind of last minute, you just turn it on. And I think you have to let it blink twice. If you let it blink more than that before turning it off, I think it's almost seen as like showing off or something. So you turn on your hazards, let it blink twice, and then turn them off. That's how you say thank you.
I think it became a culture because of the tinting culture.
Oh, we have to talk about that too.
Yeah. Because before the tinting culture, you used to just hold up your hand.
Yeah.
But now because of your windshields are so darkly tinted in Korea, you can't see anything inside.
Interesting.
So that's why they started communicating with the hazard signal.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, in the US that's the way to say thank you. You just put your hand up and they can see you through the mirror, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. In Korea, the cars are tinted to such a degree. Not even just the side, even the front, like, I don't know, 80%. It's crazy. It's so dark, you can't see in. Yeah. Oh, one more thing too, black box camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, if you get a car in Korea, I think, again, there's at least three things that are very different from the US. The level of tinting. We already talked about the kind of door protector. But number three is the black box camera.
Yes.
So they'll install something. It usually sits in the front. It's like a little kind of like what old school GPSs look like.
Yes.
But there's also a component in the back of your car as well. And basically, if it detects motion, it'll start recording. And, then it'll stop. Yeah. And I think there's usually enough storage for something like, I don't know, like 2 days worth of footage typically. So in the event of an accident or whatever, you have that camera footage.
Yeah. In case of an accident, these black boxes are very crucial in proving who did wrong.
Yeah.
And because so many cars, I would say like 99% of cars have these black boxes, what's also good about these is that sometimes they're used to detect crime scenes.
Yes. Yeah.
So Korea is already a society where CCTVs are very prevalent, but sometimes in areas where they don't have CCTVs, or what do you call it? Surveillance cameras?
Yeah.
They use black boxes of cars that were nearby. Yeah.
One more thing about driving, Jun. If you miss an exit, you're screwed. Actually, my father-in-law says driving in Korea mirrors society.
Oh, wow.
You make one small mistake.
That's deep.
Your life is over.
That's not true.
Yeah, I know. It's a trope. But I missed an exit once on the way home. I thought it was very, whatever, minor. I'll just get off at the next exit. It caused a 45-minute detour. I was so pissed. But this is actually quite common.
Yeah.
In the city, I'd say if you miss any sort of turn, at least 15, 20-minute detour. Yeah, just because it's so congested.
Interesting. Yeah.
So, all right, that's some driving tips for you all.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more, but yeah.
Okay, moving on to our next category.
Personal space.
Yeah, personal space is not a thing.
It's not a thing in Korea. Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't be offended if people are bumping into you or literally standing right behind you, right?
Yeah.
It's not you. Don't be offended.
Yeah.
Just no one respects personal space.
Yeah. One final thing.
What's that?
Automatic doors in Korea.
Oh, okay.
They're semi-automatic. The reason why I'm saying that the doors are semi-automatic is that they only automatically close, and when you want to open it, you have to press on a button.
So annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I'm leaving your apartment, I have to press a button, and then that lets me open the door.
That's a different thing.
That gets me every time though. So sometimes if you're like, why can't I open this door to leave? Look to your left.
Yeah.
You'll see a button you press that unlocks the door, and then you can walk out.
Oh, the thing that I was mentioning is that, those like sliding glass doors that are seemingly looks like they're automatic. You always have to press it to open it.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to mention is that I want to say 90% of the time when you enter or exit a building, and then if you see a two-fold opening door.
Yeah, like a double door.
A double door, almost all the time one is not operating.
Why? Why is one always fixed? It says fixed door.
I don't know why. Even for me, this is the biggest mystery.
So frustrating.
Yeah, only one door operates.
And it really restricts, traffic because
Yeah.
people are coming in and out.
I'm not even kidding you. This is one of the biggest mysteries in life for
Yeah.
me. Like, why is it always just one door just fixed?
Yeah. There's one more thing that I think we should touch on, which is 편의점s.
편의점.
편의점s.
Yeah.
Convenience stores.
What about 편의점s?
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
They're small,
They are
typically,
small, typically.
but
very,
they have everything.
very brightly lit.
They have everything. I'm shocked by how much I can just survive off the local convenience store, especially the food and just like everything that you need.
Now that you mentioned food, one very odd thing that people from the States might realize about 편의점s is that there are tables that you can sit and eat.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And there are microwaves and hot
water
stalls. Yeah. So that you can heat up your instant noodles.
It's quite convenient.
Yeah.
All right. Was there anything else?
I think that's pretty much it for today. But if we have any more, we'll come up with another episode of, what was it called again? Everyday living differences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this episode was one I've been wanting to do for a while.
Do you know what I want to do for the next episode?
What?
The opposite.
Things in the US?
Yeah.
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
I just wanted to mention that after living here, as you can see, there are lots of differences in everyday living between Korea and the US. But again, as we've talked about and discussed today, it's usually not, without reason. And so at least for me, I just want to say all these differences. And, sometimes we say this annoys me, or I'm used to this, or I wish it were another way. Neither way of doing things in the US or Korea is wrong. It's just different. At first, I thought I couldn't live without a big towel, right? I was so used to these towels. But now if I'm in a bathroom and it's just the small towels, no big deal. I can dry my body with the small hand towel.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. I also want to mention a lot of these small things. They're always rooted deeply into the culture if you observe closely enough. And by realizing these differences, I think it's a very good way to really understand the differences in culture of Korea.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Jun.
All right. Thank you for listening again. We hope to release episodes weekly, and please follow us on social media. We are most actively posting on Instagram at Korean American Podcast. Yeah. And we hope to meet you soon next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. I mentioned in office stall culture that a lot of the times office stalls are partially...
Where is that sound coming from?
It almost feels that it's coming from inside the computer.
I thought someone was in here doing dishes in your house. That's crazy.
That was odd.
I think it can pick up your next door neighbor or downstairs, really. It must be Gorong, right? Who else could it be?
Oh, he's eating.
Oh, yeah.
But it sounded as if it's coming from somewhere else.
It sounded like
It's
it was
so
in.
weird.
I mean, yeah, that's crazy.